on these steps just here, guys, if you want. Two in the front there if you need to. Alright, well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Well, the sunshine's brought everyone out. My name is Alan. Up on the horse here we have Lee, and we're going to be your hosts here for the show this morning. And our horse's name here is Sam. You must have a Sam in the audience. Alright, now, we've got a few activities that you might like to try today. A little bit later on, you might like to try your hand at cracking the Australian stock whip. And towards the end of the show, we'll give you the chance to milk the cow, by hand, of course. A little bit later on, I'm going to show you how we shear a sheep. But before we do that, we're going to have to get some sheep from out of the paddock down here and bring them up into the shed. Now, whenever we're gathering our sheep together, we call this mustering. And when we're mustering, we use special dogs that have been especially bred and trained for working sheep. And the dogs that we use are called Australian Kelpies. Now, this is Arthur. Australian Kelpies have been bred for nearly 200 years for working sheep. So it's become a natural instinct in the dog to want to chase sheep. Just over 4 months ago, Arthur here turned 2 years old. So if he were a person, he would be about 14 and a half years old. What I'd like you to remember is that when Arthur's out in the paddock mustering, is that he is working off of his own natural ability. So, bearing in mind he's still a very young dog, and his training is still in progress. So I'm going to take him out to the paddock now, and we'll show you how the mustering works. You ready? Bit of yoga before we go. Sit. Sit, please. Okay, now when the stockman, that is me, is mustering, I will control the dog, and in turn the dog will control the sheep. We use 3 basic commands to work the dog. The command round will send him to the left-hand side of the sheep, the command back will send him to the right, and the command stay will keep him in the one position. I'm going to start this muster by sending Arthur to the left-hand side of these sheep. So that command will be round. So, Arthur, sit please, sit. Round, round. So the command round is sending him off to the left-hand side of the sheep. Once he gets down here, you'll see the sheep move off the fence, and he'll try and work them back towards me. Push, good boy, good dog, good dog. Round, 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 round. Stay, stay, stay. Go back, go back. So back sends him to the right-hand side. And now we'll get him to work the sheep up towards the shed for us. Push him. Push him up, good boy. Steady, round. Push him up. Round, round. Push. Good boy. Push him up. Push him up, Arthur. Round, round. Good boy. Round. Back here. Back here. Round. Steady. Steady. Push him back. Good boy. Round, round. Round. Alright, certainly making him work, but he'll get him up here. Just a bit of patience. Good boy, push. Round. Round. Round, Arthur. Round. Good boy. Come here. Go back, go back, go back. Back here, go back. Steady, steady. Good dog. Push him up. Round. Push. Good boy. Steady. Steady. Round. Steady. Round. Steady. Come behind here. Round. Round. Push. Round. Steady. Push. Steady. Keep doing circles. Good dog. Push. Push. Come here, come here, come here, come here, come here, come here. Loop. Loop. Sit. Sit. Be gentle. Okay, now, a very, very important part of working our dogs is reward. And we do that very easily just by giving the dog a pat, letting him know that we're happy with the job that he's done. He knows that this signs him off and he's more than happy to go back to his kennel. And they were a hard mob of sheep to muster. He did a very good job. Good boy, eh? Good dog. Away you go, quick. Off you go. Away. Now, you may be wondering what the horse is doing out here. Not that much at all, really. The dog does the majority of the work. All that the horse is for is to provide transport for the stockman or the stockwoman so we can keep up with the dog and the sheep and stay in control of the mustering. Now these sheep that we brought in for you today, they are females. We've got a couple of boys here. The little one that's coming out first, his name is Pete. And Pete is about 2 years old. The one behind him here, his name's Trevor. And Trevor is 4 years old. And we call the boys rams. And of course, we have the rams to breed more ewes and make more sheep. Now, when the stockman's out working in the paddock mustering the sheep, we like to stop and have ourselves some morning and afternoon tea, just like we all do when we're working. Morning and afternoon tea for the stockman would be billy tea. And it's called billy tea because we brew the tea in a billy. And this is what we call the billy. So it wouldn't matter what type of tea leaves we put in here, we're always going to call it billy tea. We're mustering the sheep, we'd like to stop and have ourselves a hot drink. We pull up, build a fire on the ground, place a billy full of water directly into the open fire. Now once the water's boiled, we would throw in a handful of tea leaves. We would then pick the billy up, full of boiling tea now, and swing the billy. Now swinging the billy is an Australian tradition, but there's a very good reason for doing it. By swinging the billy, it forces the tea leaves from the top of the billy down to the bottom. It's the same pressure that's keeping the water in here. So by doing this, I don't have to sit there and wait for the tea leaves to settle or to draw. We can have a quick, clean cup of tea, get back on the horse, and catch up with the sheep before they get too far away from us. Now, just to show you, I'm not tricking. We've got plenty of water in the billy. Now, I need a volunteer. You look like, yeah. Oh, yeah, come on then, come on, you can come down, brother. You look pretty keen. How are you, my friend? Where are you from? Vietnam, welcome. Come over here with me. Righto, now, I'm going to show you how to do this first, okay? You've got to keep your arm nice and straight, okay? Be careful you don't hit your leg. We're going to rock the billy backwards, and we're going to swing it all the way around like so. Do you think you can do that? Okay, now whatever you do, when you stop, don't stop up here. Alright, okay. Righto. He's on your side. He's okay. That's it. Well done. Good job, my friend. That's a good job. Well done, man. Good boy. What do you think, Bill? Did he do a good job? Oh, okay. Now, I'm sure you noticed when you were swinging the billy that our dog here was barking, yeah? He didn't bark when I was swinging the billy, did he? This is Bill, and Bill is the judge of the billy swing. He watches everyone that comes in here to swing the billy. When he saw you swinging the billy, he was giving you the thumbs up and a clap. So Bill thinks you did a good job. Good boy, Bill. Now, before I show you how we shear a sheep, we're going to have to move the sheep from here and get them into the catching pen. As this sign suggests, this is the catching pen. The shearer will catch the sheep in here, drag it out through this gate and shear the sheep on the floor just here. Now, whenever we're moving our sheep, of course we use our dogs. Here we have another one. Here we have Jack. Now this dog here, Jack, he is our oldest dog. Jack here is over 12 years old. So if he were a person, he would be more than 86 years old, and he would be retired. He's not retired, he loves chasing sheep, and it's something that he still wants to do. And he is in fact the father of Bill, our billy swinging judge. And here we have Arthur again. You remember Arthur in the beginning of the show? He was doing the mustering. You will notice that Arthur is a different colour to Bill and Jack. Arthur is what we call a red dog. Bill and Jack are called black and tan. They are, however, all Australian Kelpies, and these dogs are all in fact related to each other. We have one more dog over here in the pens. His name is Rusty, and Rusty is 7 years old, and he is Arthur's father, and he is also a red dog. So I'm going to use Arthur now and Jack, and we'll get the sheep into the catching pen. You ready, mate? Arthur? You ready? Okay. Okay, boys. Round, round, push. So you'll notice that the sheep immediately want to move away from the dog. They don't look out, Jack, look out. So they don't want anything at all to do with the dogs. Now, once again, a very, very important part of working our dogs is reward. And again, giving them a pat, letting them know we're happy with the job they've done is all that they need. They know that signs them off and they're very happy to go back to their kennel. You going to sit, Jack? Sit. Today, mate. Good boy. Good old dog. He's a lovely old dog. Good boy, Jack. And you're all right too, Arthur. Off you go. Quick. Righto, Jack. Not today? Well, come on. He's 86 years old. Old man, through the gate. Good boy, Jack. Now this is the equipment that we use to shear the sheep. It is called a shearing plant. This electric motor provides the power that runs a shaft down this steel tube all the way to the floor to the tool that we use to shear the sheep. And this is the tool that we use. It is called a handpiece. It's made up of two cutting parts. There's a fixed blade on the bottom here that we call a comb, and this just combs through the wool of the sheep. On top of the comb there's another blade called a cutter, and the cutter runs backwards and forwards across the comb to cut the wool off of the sheep. Now it's very, very sharp, it's very noisy, and it can be very dangerous. Now this is the modern way of shearing sheep, so it's the easier way. It wasn't always this easy. More than 100 years ago, there was over 70 million sheep in Australia. All of those sheep had to be shorn by hand, and this is the tool that they would use. These are called shears, and a shearer would work for 10 hours a day with the shears, and in 10 hours he could possibly shear 80 to 90 sheep. Very, very hard work. With the modern way of shearing that you can see here, it's still hard work, but nowadays a shearer can shear 150 to 200 sheep in 8 hours. Now another piece of equipment that's made life a little bit easier for the shearer is this thing just here. This was invented by a shearer who had a very bad back, and he couldn't shear sheep anymore. How do you suppose he got the bad back? Pretty obvious. Spending all day in this position shearing sheep. It's really not very good for you at all. So, what do we do with this, do you think? Do we put the sheep in here, make it easier to shear? No, this is for the shearer. Okay, so you'll notice when I'm bending over that the springs, they're working above me. They're in fact taking around 50% of the weight off of my lower back. So what it's doing is it's preserving my back, and it's also making my day a little bit easier. Okay, I'm going to grab a sheep out now and show you how we shear it. I'm going to pass you across to Lee, and he'll explain what's going on while we're shearing the sheep.
So when the shearer catches the sheep, the first thing he does is he turns it upside down very quickly. This gets the sheep off its legs. That way it's completely under control and it can't get away. Now shearers start the shearing by removing the belly ball. And the belly ball, once it's been removed, is kept separate from the rest of the ball. This is because the belly ball needs different processing from other balls. Now in a commercial shearing shed, there'll be more than just one shearer, usually 4 or 5 working together, and we call them a team of shearers. They'll start work at 7:30 in the morning, work for 2 hours, have a break and a cup of tea, work for another 2 hours, and so on for an 8-hour day. So they're up onto their head now, and when the shearer shears the sheep carefully, must be very careful around the eyes and ears. Now the neck is the most difficult part of the sheep to shear, and as you can see, the handpiece goes underneath the wool, and the shearer has to feel for the skin before opening out the wool to see where he's going. In Australia, we shear mainly merino sheep, that is the breed of the sheep. Merinos are very wrinkly and have lots of loose skin all over their bodies, but mainly around the neck. Now you might like to think of shearing as having a haircut, and when you get your hair cut, it doesn't hurt. This part of the shearing is called the long blow, a blow being a stroke on the handpiece. And a long blow is the longest blow a shearer can do on the sheep, from one end of the sheep to the other, so he can remove a lot of wool very quickly when he does the long blow. Now, a typical sheep farm in Australia will have about 5,000 sheep, and teams of shearers will travel around from one farm to another. Once they get to a farm, they will stay there until all the sheep are shorn, and the team will move on to the next farm. Now the last side of the sheep is called the whipping side, and it's called that because it's the fastest side to shear. Having already removed most of the wool, all the shearer has to do now is to whip down the last side very quickly, so he can finish that sheep, get out another one, and shear as many as he can in a day. Now a shearer will be paid about $3 for every sheep they shear. It may not sound like very much, but when you consider that they can shear up to 200 sheep in one day, they are earning quite a bit of money. And there we have a lovely clean short sheep. All right, Ellen, let's give him a clap. Okay. Now the sheep was accidentally cut during the shearing. And this can happen sometimes just in the same way that a man might cut himself while shaving. It's just on the very surface of the skin. So we just popped on some antiseptic spray there just to keep it clean until it heals. Probably healed up in a couple of days. There is a natural grease called lanolin. You've probably all heard of it. A lot of skincare products and ladies' cosmetics are made from lanolin. It's very good for your skin. It's also very good for the sheep itself. Immediately after a sheep is shorn, it will produce a very large amount of lanolin that will cover its own body in grease. And this protects it from the weather, keeps it warm and dry. So we can put the sheep outside immediately after shearing at any time of the year, even in the winter time, and they don't suffer at all. Now when I rub the body of the sheep on the freshly cut wool, very good hard rub, you'll be able to see the lanolin shining on my hands. It's very greasy, I can certainly feel it. So after the show, when the sheep is back in the catching pen, you might like to go over there and give the sheep a rub just like I did. Rub it a long time, and then rub it all over your face, and you'll have lovely soft skin. You'll smell terrible. You'll smell really bad, but your skin will be very good. wool is called a fleece, and there are workers in the shearing shed called rouseabouts. One of them will pick up the fleece of wool and throw it out onto a wool table. Alan's going to demonstrate this for you by throwing it out onto the floor so you can see it better. And as you can see, the technique of shearing gets all the wool off in one piece. It's all joined together just like a big rug. And that's very important because when the rouseabout throws out the fleece, all of the short wool from the legs and dirty, greasy wool from under the legs comes to the edges of the fleece. So we can skirt around the fleece now and remove this wool, and this process is called skirting the fleece. We start on the back leg and work our way along the edge, up to the front leg here, and some of the very short wool from around the neck. And the reason we do this is to improve the value of the fleece, because these pieces we've just removed are far less valuable than the main fleece wool. And these pieces are called pieces. Now, Australia produces some of the best quality and finest wool in the world. This beautiful fleece wool can be made into very high quality clothing. Things such as men's suits, ladies' jackets, evening dresses, all very expensive. And this is how much wool a sheep will produce in 1 year. It's about 5 kilos. And that's enough wool to make 3 complete men's suits. Now, if you were to buy those suits, they would cost you over $1,000. But the value of this fleece is about $40. That's how much a farmer gets for a fleece of wool. The rouseabout will pick up the fleece now and put it into a wool press. This metal box here is the wool press. We'll put 40 to 50 fleeces in here, press them down very tight, and that's how we make a bale of wool just like this one. Now, most of Australia's wool is exported, and we export to many different countries. The main one today is, where do you think? China, that's right. The belly wool and the pieces, they'll be made into woolly socks, woolly jumpers, blankets for the bed, and all these little bits that are swept up, these are called locks. Locks will be mixed together and made into a material called felt. Felt material can be made into many different things, and here's just one example. This is a felt hat made from pure merino wool, and I'm sure there's lots of other things you can think of that are made out of felt. Okay, so I'll hand you back to Alan now, and he will see you through the rest of the show.
Thank you, Lee. Okay, now when the stockman's out mustering, we use the Australian stock whip. When we crack the whip, it makes a very loud noise, a loud bang. And this is the purpose of the whip, to get the attention of the sheep. We do not use the whip for hitting any of the animals. And the way that we crack the whip is just like this. Now those of you with real little kids, good idea to get them to cover their ears. So we go around this way. Now, if you can imagine me sitting on the horse, because we're always on the horse when we're using the whip, I need to be able to crack the whip without hitting the horse. Now there are 2 ways we can do this. The safest and the easiest way is by swinging the whip around my head like this. By going around my head like this, I'm not going to hit the horse on the head, and I'm not going to hit the horse on the rump. So around this way, and then we're going to go back. Now another way that we can crack the stock whip while we're on the horse is by going straight up and down alongside the horse. And we do that like so. Now if you watch very closely, I will show you how we get the whip to crack. No noise this time, nice and quiet, okay? So what we do is we get the whip going around our head like this, nice and smooth, nice and flat. When the whip gets behind me, I change direction. So it's 1, 2, back. Again, when the whip gets behind me, change direction. 1, 2, back. Very simple. Now by doing this, it creates a loop in the whip like so. And the loop travels all the way down to the end of the whip like a wave and flicks it over very, very fast. In fact, faster than the speed of sound. Now this piece on the very bottom of the whip here, this is what we call the cracker. And this is the piece that's making the loud noise. And what you can hear is a sonic boom. As I said before, it's breaking the sound barrier. Ladies can crack a stock whip just as easily as men. It's just about technique. So what I'd like to do is see if there's anyone in the audience who would like to have a try at cracking a stock whip for themselves. I can't do it with the kids, brother, I'm very sorry. This is for the adults. So any of the adults I want to try? Come on, buddy. Good on you, my friend. Where are you from, man? Singapore, welcome. Now, can you stand in that circle for me just there? Good on you, mate. Now, one thing I need you to do, just before we crack the whip, just need you to stick on the Stockman's hat for me. Beautiful. Now, there's a very good reason that we wear the hat. Why do you think we wear the hat? Protection? No. Looks good for the photos. Are you right-handed? Okay, what I want you to do, have you ever done this before? Okay, I want you to watch my arm and the whip, okay? So for a start, what we do, we get the whip going nice and smooth, nice and flat. I'm using my whole arm. When it gets behind me, back the other way. So 1, 2, back. Once more, 1, 2, back. Good luck. Alright, here we go. Yep. That's it, try again. Just relax. Okay, look. When you change direction, try and go across, not down. That's it. Oh, come on, you're nearly there. Just relax. It's not that easy to do. One more, come on, you're nearly there. Come on. Bit of encouragement. Get it going flat above your head. Flat, that's the way.
Yes.
Yeah! Excellent job, mate. Well done. I'll pitch the hat back there. Yeah. Good on you, my friend. That's really well done. Anybody else like to go? Come on, mate. Hey, buddy. Where are you from, my friend? Singapore as well? Beautiful. Is anyone left in Singapore? Oh, here. Righto. Are you right-handed? Yes. Okay. I want you to watch my arm again and the whip. Stay in the circle. I've only hit a couple of people doing this. All right, so get the whip going nice and smooth. Use your whole arm. So it's 1, 2, back. Once more. 1, 2, back. All right, here we go. Good. Right. Now remember, so when the whip gets back here, we're going back this way. So try and wait till the whip's behind you and then back the other way.
1, 2.
Nearly. But what you're doing now is when you're going back the other way, you're going down. Okay, we don't want to go down, we want to go across this way and across this way. Keep the whip flat. One more. It's not that easy to do. Changing the directions is tricky. Oh, come on. One more. Here we go. It's going to work this time. I'm not sure how you did it, but you got it the crack. Good on you, my friend. Excellent job. That's very good. There's only probably about 3% of people that crack the whip, so credit to both those gentlemen. Well done. Now, as I was saying before, cracking the whip is just about technique. So after a little while, we can actually keep the whip going very, very easily. Alright, put it away, you can all relax. I'd like to give you all a chance to milk the cow.
Acá, ¿no me la cow?
Here she comes. She very much, she'll stay there, she's very friendly. Okay, now, our cow's name is? Oh, come on, cow's name? Pretty close. is Brenda. Minty's retired. Now Brenda is what is known as a Frisian cow. Frisian cows have been specially bred for producing milk. So cows like Brenda, Frisian cows, they can produce 40 to 50 litres of milk every day. Now to give you some idea how much that is, this is a 20 litre bucket. Okay, so a Frisian cow could fill this bucket with milk 2.5 times in a day. You'll get a chance to milk the cow, mate, don't worry, just relax. Now, we milk the cow just like this. She has 4 teats hanging down like so. If you could imagine that my thumb is one of those teats. We use our thumb and our index finger and we clamp the teat off very, very tight at the top and then we squeeze down at the bottom. So your thumb and finger first, very tight at the top. You can't hurt her, then squeeze down at the bottom. Now whatever you do, don't squeeze the bottom first, otherwise the milk will go up and we need the milk to come down. Now just before we go on to milking the cow, I've got a bit of a surprise. That's going to involve 4 kids that are in the audience. No, just wait. Sit. Now, this has to be fair for all of the kids, guys. So what I want you to do is put your hand up in the air and Lee is going to pick 4 of you to come down. So just wait until Lee picks you and then come on down. Good luck.
Okay, we've got lots of kids in the audience this morning. So any kids on this side, put your hands up. Yeah, come on down. Come and have a seat. That's the way. Alright, let's see. We've got one here. You come on down. We need a couple of girls. Okay, is this one here? You come down. Okay, and go on down. Sorry I can't pick everybody. There's got lots of kids in the audience this morning.
Yeah, we would love to be able to pick all of the kids, but at the end of the show, there's still plenty for them to do, look around, touch, feel, that sort of thing. So you guys are the lucky ones. Tell me, do you like milk? You like milk? Good, because this one's for you. But don't start drinking it just yet, okay? One for you, hold on to that for me, darling, good girl. One for you, mate. Good manners, buddy. And one for you, sweetheart. Beautiful manners. All right. Now, is it nice and warm? Yeah? It's come straight from the cow. So it's very, very fresh and very good for you, okay? But don't start drinking it just yet. Now, what we're doing is we've got a competition going, and the competition is we're going to see which one of these guys can finish their bottle of milk first. All right? But, no, it's got a special top on it, see? Look. But you're not allowed to start until I say go. Okay, so don't start yet, you've got to wait until I say go. Hang on a minute. Now I want you to hold on to your bottles with 2 hands. I want you to get ready, I want you to get set. Hold on. They haven't got mums, and that's why we're raising them in the shed. Hold them down, darling. These little ones here, the 2 ones in the middle, are about 8 weeks old. Stay there. Look how happy you're making them. In about another 10 to 14 weeks, they will double in size, so they grow very quickly at this age. Doing a good job. There we go, well done. Well done, mate. Excellent job. Well, he likes you, that one. And you're all finished too. Well done. We've got 4 happy lambs. Come on, for you to clap. Thank you so much for helping me feed the lambs, guys. You did an awesome job. You can sit down again now. Thank you very much. Alright, guys, we're coming towards the end of the show now. Just before we wind up, I'd just like people to listen in. We've got quite a few tour guides here, and we've got a lot of groups that have been going around the park with our guides today. You do have some other activities to go on with, so please keep an eye on your guide so you know what's going on. You may well have to leave the shed immediately. Everyone else that is still here, I would like to invite you down so you can come down and try your hand at milking the cow for yourself. Lee will be sitting over here with Brenda. She'll be happy to help you and show you what to do. You're also very welcome to look around the shed at all of the other animals. They're all very friendly and they will not hurt you, and then that will be the end of the show. I would like to thank you all very much for coming to the farm show. Thank you for participating. You've been a great audience. Enjoy your day. Have a safe trip home. For those of you